Well, hello, soccer fans. Randy McKee here with the September 14th or September 7th, 2014 girls wrap-up show. We're very happy today to have a couple of coaches as guests, and Coach Derry, who normally is with us, is on the road this afternoon. He was in Watertown today at the Prairie League soccer event there in Watertown. They're doing a great job. So let's first talk a little bit about what happened this week. Then we'll bring the coaches on, talk a little bit about their teams and what's coming up for them. So let's go ahead and just get started at the A level. The week was fairly light, only a few games, but a couple real counters. And we started the first one on Tuesday night, which is always a wonderful, fun clash to watch, as Belfouche visited St. Thomas More. That game, from every account, was just an absolute dogfight. And the game ended up at a 3-3 draw, and most people thought very justified. And, as we wrote last week, that's one of those kind of games, and it just historically a very, very physical match where you almost want to have an ambulance parked nearby, because those girls just, they shed their inhibitions and play hard soccer. But apparently nobody got damaged there during the game, so that was a real bonus. They're going to meet again this week, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then the other real good game that we got to see, Vermillion traveled to Sioux Falls to play West Central. And earlier in the year, the first week, Vermillion beat West Central, and this game ended up in a tie. And it was a very, very competitive game. T area traveled up to Groton area yesterday, and Groton area must have turned in a good game. They ended up winning that one 3-1. So other than a few other lopsided scores, Brandon Valley got over Sioux Falls Christian 2-0 on a AA against an A school. So that was a pretty light week. And we'll talk about this upcoming week here in a little bit when we get the coaches on. In AA, we had some games that were just extremely interesting. And, the first of those was Sioux Falls Gorman playing at Yankton Trail against Sioux Falls Roosevelt, so basically a home game for Roosevelt. In another very good game, Sioux Falls Roosevelt scored fairly early in the game on it was a free kick that there was a little bit of a mess in the box, and the ball went in. They all count one, and it wasn't a big design play or anything, but it was good enough to win. Sioux Falls O'Gorman, much of the game looked like as good a team, or in some cases a little bit better than Sioux Falls Roosevelt. They had one come off woodwork. They had a few chances that were squelched. So that was a real good game. And sometimes you can walk away having lost a game like O'Gorman did, and feel good about how you played. It just wasn't your day. Talking with Coach Jansen after the game with the Roosevelt girl, she was pretty happy that they kind of swapped halves in terms of which half they dominated. So overall, I think for both teams it was a very good game. And then Thursday, Sioux Falls Roosevelt traveled to Yankton, and were kind of dealt a big surprise, because they ended up losing that game 3-1. And we'll have Coach Jansen, maybe she'll want to touch on that. But here's the reality with Yankton this year. They have a lot of girls who can really run, and they're just relentless. They earlier in the year, Brianna Benjamin, their goal scorer, was out with an ankle issue. She's back and running. They have Kendall Lilly, who just is a relentless runner. She's fast, and she'll run all day. Taylor Reuter, their senior central midfielder, who gave O'Gorman plenty of difficulty when they played here in Sioux Falls, and once again against Roosevelt at home. So, they've got a good team there, and they've got a good keeper. In Raquel Cole. So we got a lot of good vibes coming out of Yankton, they've invested a lot of time and a lot of coaching and a lot of travel in those girls the last few years, and it's really starting to show. Sioux Falls Lincoln, Brookings came and visited them Thursday. Sioux Falls Lincoln ended up winning that 2-0. Brookings, and it could be the game was a little closer than that. Brookings played pretty well. They had, one come off woodwork, Chloe Pearson shot. So, Brookings can play good soccer, and they did Thursday night against Lincoln. But they need to step up now and win some games, or they're not going to make that final 8. So it's time for them really to step up and get something done. Same night, out at Yankton Trail Park, Watertown girls visited Sioux Falls, Washington. The bottom line here is Coach Meininger at Watertown understands what kind of team he has. Earlier in the season, Sioux Falls, Washington played Brookings, and Coach Meininger noticed how high Brookings were trying to get against Washington, and he didn't let Washington get behind his team. There were a lot of goal kicks for Watertown, a lot of them, but Sioux Falls, Washington had a lot of trouble getting a close shot off. They had a lot of long shots, and the game kind of was a struggling type of game the entire game. Right at the end of the game, Watertown got one in on a free kick that kind of bounced around and got passed, and they knocked it in and ended up winning the game right at the end. So that was a good result for Watertown, not such a great result for Washington. They need to figure out how, when they get in the final third, to knock the ball around and not rely on that tremendous speed that they have up top as much. So it's going to be interesting to see how Coach Luzzi responds to that and what Washington is going to look like in their battle this week. One of the games that we really looked forward a lot to getting reports on was Rapid City Stevens visiting Pierre. And, we knew with the Pierre team that we were going to see a team that was wanting to attack. We were going to see a team that maybe wasn't quite as strong in defense as they have been the last few years. With when you lose a player like Katie Berg in the middle of your defense, that's hard to replace. But at any rate, that turned out, I guess, to just be a total dogfight. Here we're up 1-0 at halftime, and then Rapid City Stevens kept their composure, fought back, ended up winning that game 2-0, which was a very good result for them going into Pierre, because we know the Pierre girls were very high for the game, very ready for it. So that was a good result for Rapid City Stevens. And from what I hear, the Pierre girls played pretty well. So as we're marching down the field and getting close to pairings week, both of those teams are going to weigh big and may even see each other again in the playoffs. So that's going to be interesting to see how Pierre responds when and if that happens. Same night, the Rapid City Central girls visited Aberdeen Central, and Aberdeen Central ended up walking out of there with a 2-0 win. So Central, they played, and we saw Aberdeen Central last week against Lincoln. Very good team. They ended up tying that game in the final moment, literally, of the game. So that probably was a result that a person could count on. But I'm sure not going to count out Rapid City Central. We thought very highly of them in preseason and still do. Spearfish and Mitchell played at Spearfish, and Spearfish snuck out of there yesterday with a 2-1 win. And what we're seeing here is Mitchell every week getting a little bit better, a little bit tougher, a little bit more connected. When we saw them last week against Watertown, or week before last, we saw them against Watertown. They got a lot of very good athletes, and we felt that all they needed to do was get a little bit better connected, and they were going to be very competitive, and that's exactly what's happening. Yesterday, Rapid City Stevens rolls into Aberdeen to take on that Aberdeen Central team. And, that's another clash of probably top 4 teams. Rapid City Stevens gets out of Aberdeen Central with a 2-0 win. So a very, very good road trip for Rapid City Stevens, and they've really established themselves as probably the top team in the state. And we'll just have to see with Pairings Week coming up who's going to have to travel to Stevens to play them there. One final AA game to talk about, and that's Rapid City Central traveling to Pierre. Pierre shook off that disappointing loss to Rapid City Stevens, and those teams ended up at a tie 1-1. So that's kind of the rundown for where we are. And I'd like to introduce you to Coach Shannon Fitzsimmons, the Mitchell girls coach. Shannon, thanks a lot for joining us today on the Girls Wrap-Up Show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, I'm not sure that a lot of South Dakota soccer people know who Shannon Fitzsimmons is and where she came from and that sort of thing. And we'd love to have you fill us in kind of on your soccer background, your upbringing in soccer, and how you came to be the head coach of Vermillion.
I'm originally from Yankton, so not too far away from Vermillion, and I played for the high school there. And then I went to USD, and I played soccer there for a year until I had my second knee surgery. And from there on out, the doctor said, your knees have had enough. So I had to, put away my cleats after my freshman year at USD. And then I went into teaching. And then when the opportunity presented itself to coach, since Vermillion just got sanctioned this year, I was lucky enough to get the job.
Well, that's really nice that they were able to swing that and work with the soccer program to get it funded and everything. And, I was really, actually have been very impressed with how your girls have looked this year. They've been, every outing, they've been really tough and they've scored goals. And I was particularly entertained Friday night when your team went against West Central. Those two teams know each other well. And there weren't any bones about it. It was as I said, they did not show up to play Barbies.
No, it was a good match the other night. Of course, we would have wanted to walk away with a win, but against West Central, that's pretty difficult to do. They have a really good team, and I was pretty pleased with how our girls worked together. We just didn't quite get as many finishes as we were hoping for, but it was definitely a good match out there.
Well, Shannon, why don't you fill us in on the core of strength of your team? It looked to me like you had good players on every line. Your keeper did a nice job for you. So why don't you just kind of fill us in from back to front on what these girls are contributing to the team?
Well, I was lucky enough to walk into a team that has been playing together for a little while. We have a good group of juniors, a few strong senior leaders, and then a good group of freshmen and sophomores that are coming in. And so, we have our senior, Haley Friedel, who's in our goal, and she does a great job not only in goal but kind of organizing the team throughout the game. And then we have a couple people that we've wanted on the field, so we worked them into new positions that they're not used to playing, especially on our outside defensive line. And the way they've grown and acclimated to those new positions is just remarkable to me. They're doing a great job, and I think our defense is definitely a strength. And then moving in, we have our midfielders. That definitely is kind of our area of youth and veteran leadership. And we look to those girls to get the ball up as quick as possible and control the game. And they definitely have grown to work together and communicate better and better each game. And I think that's why we have the results we have.
I saw one of your center mids, Autumn Barnett, earlier this summer at the Fishback Classic, and she was playing with Rebels, and I kind of erroneously, when I interviewed her, said, "Hey, I'm sure excited to be a Buck this fall." One thing that really impressed me about Autumn's play is that she has such an insightful first touch. I mean, almost every time the ball comes to her, she takes a real nice little touch that's into space and away from trouble. And I don't know if you see that as a rarity, but I sure do.
Yeah, I think it's definitely noticeable, especially since she's in that inside midfield position, that she is able to read the field and know where she wants to go with the ball before the ball gets to her. And that's definitely an advantage for her as a player because she already knows where she wants to send it and can send that ball in the correct direction on her first touch. And if the opportunity is not there, she's already coming up with plan B and C. So she's definitely a great person to have in the midfield because she controls it so well and she knows the game so much.
Seeing her playing with with Tori Gregoire, who just is a spark plug out there on the left side for you, and then to have those girls working kind of in a triangle with Natasha Samudzi, who is just blazing fast and has a very good nose for the goal. You really, you've got some real dangerous people put together there to go forward for you.
Yeah, I would like to think that there's not a single position on our team that has a weak spot. I think every girl is in a solid position and can play multiple positions as we move them around throughout the game. It's great to have a true left wing in Tori. It's not someone we put there with the right foot. She's a true left footer, so that's always an advantage there on the left-hand side. And, of course, you touched on Tasha's speed, which is just so important for a striker or midfielder to have because at any point in time during the game, she's a threat.
So who do you have coming up next who's going to be a real challenge for your team?
We've already worked on putting some of our freshman, sophomore girls into our kind of starting lineup even. We have a sophomore, McKenna Cobley, who's a great winger for us. She runs track, so she's got some good speed and some good strength in her, and she's not afraid to just run everywhere. And then we also have Madison Martinez as a freshman. She's getting some starting time and some varsity time, and she's really taking advantage of it. So I'm liking, the progression she's made within just a few weeks. And we also have Maddie Ragnirez, Jada Anderson, Natalie Hertz, a really good sophomore class that they're not all getting, say, starting time, but they're getting time here and there, and they're making the most of the time they get. So even though we have a big junior class, we have a good sophomore solid class to replace them.
Well, speaking of making and taking advantage of all the time they're going to get, you're going to get an opportunity, I think it's Tuesday night, to get a look at Sioux Falls Roosevelt. And, we had Coach Becky Jansen invited to be here. Becky's been on the show a few times, and she just is a great friend of the show. But, you're going to be able to see really, one of the true powerhouses in AA. And, that should be a learning experience and hopefully a fun experience for your team and for you too.
Yeah, Sioux Falls Roosevelt has a great program. We also see Yankton, another AA school, towards the end of the season, and looks like they had a pretty good match the other night between the two of them. So it's nice that we're not just getting a AA competition, we are getting really strong AA competition, and I'm looking for it to be a positive experience that we can learn from and grow, seeing that competitive nature with the AA and the top ranks in the AA, and bring that back to our own class and use that as an advantage for us.
Well, and that's as you get into pairings weeks, and you're eventually going to have to in those rounds you're going to have to face maybe St. Thomas More, maybe Bellefouche, and really after watching St. Thomas More a couple times, I'm telling you there's a lot of AA schools that team will beat. And
Yeah.
of all the fantastic St. Thomas More teams I've seen Coach Noyes put together over the years, this could be the best one ever. So, you've got those wonderful opportunities for your girls to, kind of get up on the next rung, and I'm sure they'll be taking advantage of that.
Yeah, since soccer's such a short season, we kind of made a decision to not take a trip out west so the girls can stay in school for a little bit longer and then just go ahead and play Roosevelt and play Yankton and try and get that level of competition that St. Thomas More has clearly shown they've been playing this year so far.
Well, it should be real interesting, as we see the season wind down. It's nice to see all of the A girls together again. Last year, I thought it was, especially the club girls had really a disservice done to them, and having really only 4 teams in their division. I think Belpouche ended up having like a 6-game season or 7-game season. So, this I think is all going to straighten itself out. We're hearing some rumors even of some more schools that aren't sanctioned right now, bringing on some girls programs. So hopefully we'll get that straightened out over time. But the bottom line is, I think A girls probably is the most even class of any.
Yeah, hopefully that more A schools can get sanctioned here. We'd like to have those numbers a little bit bigger and provide opportunity for those girls from other schools as well. Just a few years ago when I was in high school and it wasn't sanctioned, it's definitely nice to see that the game's progressing and that it's progressing here in South Dakota enough that people value the fact that it's now a sanctioned sport and believe it earns, it's earned to be a sanctioned sport, not just a club sport separate from the school.
Well, I was a very outspoken opponent of that, of sanctioning, till I got an opportunity to, see the state run the sanctioned events, and then I became a big proponent. The one thing that I'm hearing almost universally, that every school I visit, every player I visit with who wasn't sanctioned and now is, the players feel now that they're more a part of the school system. They have pep rallies for them, and they're just a regular part of the program now. And that for me is a huge, huge bonus.
Yeah, I work in the school district at the high school, and so it's great to see the girls having an opportunity to be connected to their school, which of course then connects them to their community in return. Just the positive atmosphere you have with the other teachers, understanding the game a little bit better, there to support them. Their own classmates are coming out more to watch them because it's highlighted more throughout the school. So the girls take pride in that and understand that's not something to take for granted, and they want to show Vermillion that they made the right decision in sanctioning it as a sport.
Well, we've got a couple of games that we have coming up that I'd like to have you weigh in on. We've got Groton area has been playing a little bit better. We have West Central hosting them in Hartford for their homecoming game this weekend. Have you seen Groton yet this year?
We haven't seen Groton this year, and we won't see Groton this year. We'll see Sioux Falls Christian Garrettson once again. We already had a rematch against West Central, and I think West Central showed great improvements, and I expect all of the teams to have improved the next time we play them. So I'm kind of looking to see how the seeds kind of themselves out towards the end of the season year are here as everyone kind of gets their team under their belt and figure out their strengths and weaknesses and how to exploit the other tems. So.
And you get to see second-year program Garrettson at home this week, and they're a program that they got a lot of young players there, but every time they step on the field, they get a little bit more dangerous and a little bit better connected.
Yeah, I think youth can be seen as an advantage because you don't know a lot about the players, and the players are willing to go and just lay everything on the line because they're still growing. We played Garrettson up at their own home field earlier, and they had a great stadium, which I was really impressed with. And we're looking forward to having them here as our last home game in Vermillion.
Well, Shannon, I really want to thank you for being with us today, and hopefully it wasn't too painful getting everything set up to be on the show. But I really do appreciate your time, and I got to tell you, as an old soccer guy around South Dakota, I really appreciate seeing what you're doing with that program there in Vermillion, and especially how from the sidelines you're not just a coach, but it's very clear that you're a teacher there too. You're doing things the right way.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well, hopefully we'll have you on the program again as we go down the thing. Hopefully you can be available for that, and like I said, we really do appreciate the fact that you took some time off a Sunday evening to tell us a little bit about your team.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. So.
Thanks again. We'll see you on the pitch, Shannon.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
All right. Well, let's finish up with some of these matchups coming up this week. We're gonna see a couple real competitive type matches, and really in my mind the first one starts Tuesday night with the AA girls. That Stevens Central matchup out there, Rapid. That's going to be a real tough one. But it's not only that, but Thursday night Stevens and St. Thomas More play, and we're going to be able to find out St. Thomas More does belong, in that AA class, at least in terms of quality. And haven't seen that team play, haven't seen their coach Noyes. That's really going to be a very, very entertaining game to watch. We see, as Shannon told us, the T area where Vermillion will be visiting, and that's going to be a competitive game as well. T area has shown a little bit of ups and downs, being a young team this year, but still very, very competitive. They're doing a really good job over there. Another interesting game, I think, AA versus A this week is Spearfish traveling to Bellefouche, and again, Bellefouche has a very, very strong team. Spearfish has kind of been up and down. So we'll see how that game comes out. That's going to be a tough game for Spearfish to win if they do. I'm sure Bellefouche is really looking forward to it. Yankton visit Brookings, and that's another game that it could be kind of a toss-up, because Brookings girls are playing real good soccer. They got some great players. Yankton, with that organization, with that relentless running. Both teams have very good keepers, so that's going to be a real interesting game. And we have Harrisburg rolling into Sioux Falls O'Gorman, and Harrisburg looked real good yesterday, and against Watertown. Coach Keppen just keeps adding a little bit more every week. They got most of their players back. Darian Polster had to sit out with some ankle problems, and she's back and looked very good yesterday against Watertown. So that's going to be another very competitive match. We get to watch Sioux Falls Lincoln against Sioux Falls Washington, and that again is a very good match, and probably means more to Washington to see how they can recover after that loss to Watertown and gain their consistency back. It's going to be interesting to see their hard running, very creative front runners against Lincoln's experienced defense and Elite 11 keeper Maggie Smither. Very, very good contest there. And then, they turn right around and, Washington turned right around and play Sioux Falls Lincoln. And that's going to be another extremely good game. Yankton will be hosting Harrisburg, and that's going to be, again, another very good game. Rapid City Stevens plays St. Thomas More on Thursday. Again, we're going to see where St. Thomas More fits in this grand scheme of things, even though that's they're playing a AA side. Watertown Brookings. So, I mean, just right down the line, we see Sioux Falls O'Gorman playing Sioux Falls Lincoln, at home, and I think that's going to be a very good game to watch. Aberdeen Central, of course, pure travel up there, and that's going to be another tough game. So in AA girls soccer this week, it's really going to be an amazing week, and so we hope that you're paying attention to it. We hope that you'll be tweeting us and letting us know about what's going on. I'm going to try one last time here to get Coach Becky Jansen on with us, and hopefully we can do that. If not, let's see here. Becky, I hope you can join us. I just sent the invitation out. So, you know, one of the things that we want to talk about here also is the fact that we're switching over, trying to switch over all of our stuff to our new sports channel. And let me show you what that thing looks like. It's called Sports 605. And right now you can see our logo there. You can see that we are currently covering, or will be covering, 7 different sports, and probably even more. Obviously right now we're working on soccer. We're getting ready to head into hockey and then basketball. We're covering a little bit of football right now, even though our coverage of football is going to be extensive next year. But right now, if you want to get a hold of me, it's just Randy at sports605.com. If you want to get a hold of Carol, it's just Carol at sports605.com. If we're out at a field, please come up and say hi, and we'd love to hear from you. All right, well, we're apparently not connecting with Coach Jansen, and for some reason or other, we've had a couple technical difficulties there. So we promised to get get Coach Jansen on, because you know she's one of the funnest guests we've ever had on the wrap-up shows last year when she was a boys coach over at Roosevelt, and we really enjoyed having her on. She knows a lot about soccer and a lot about coaching, and has something to say about all of them. So a couple thank yous before we get out of here. First of all, I want to thank Carol for spending some time this afternoon working with all our coaches to get them connected with the wrap-up shows. That takes a lot of time and patience, neither of which I have very much of right now. And then especially I want to thank Old Federal Bank, without whose help we wouldn't be able to bring near the coverage that we are, and showcasing the kids in the game. So those are a couple major thank yous. The biggest thank yous I want to send out, though, are to our players around the state who we love to watch play, and of course to you, all of you soccer fans who keep providing all that wonderful input to us, and help continually try to make our channel better. If you want to see anything different, or you want to see us add anything, or if you add any content or anything at all, please just give us an email, Randy at sports605 or Carol at sports605.com, and we'll do everything we can to incorporate your ideas. So we'll be back next Sunday, 7 p.m. Central, and we'll have a lot to talk about next week, because this is going to be probably one of the most exciting weeks of AA girls soccer, and some very good A girls soccer matchups as well. So, folks, thanks again very much for checking in on our girls wrap-up show today, September 7th, and we look forward to seeing you again here, same time, same place next week. And players, remember, we love to watch you play. Thanks again. Have a great